back of the cemetery off of Home Street.
I see. And have you lived in Hoosick Falls a long time, or?
Quite a few years, 1933, I think.
Well, were you born in
North Bennington.
in North Bennington,
Yeah.
and your family moved down here?
Yes, I moved down with my sister, yeah.
All right. And where'd you go to school? And
I went to school at Classic Street. I started in from North Bennington. I transferred into the Classic Street School. And then the following year, I went into the 8th grade at St. Mary's.
I see. And what did you do before you went into the service?
Peddled papers mostly.
All
I
right.
peddled papers as a young lad, graduated from St. Mary's in 1939. And then I went down to sign up in the Navy, but at that time they weren't taking too many in, especially the thin fellas. They wanted husky men, you know. So then I waited and I went to work in the undergarment for a year or so, 2 years I think. Joined the Home Guard down here, the New York State Company C. And then we went to, I joined the Navy in 1942. I worked in the Calasta, by the way. Well, I went from $9 a week at undergarment to $40 a week, which was quite an increase at that time, you know, a lot of money. So then I joined the Navy. I went in with Carl Cunningham and Bill Sheridan. We went into Sampson out near Geneva, New York, on the lakes. And real cold weather out there. And we went through boot camp there, and of course they asked us what would we like to do in regards to the future in the Navy. So I, of course, liked that electrical work, so they sent me to electrical school. I went to the first electrical school in Sampson, in G unit. I was in charge of a company there due to the fact that of my experience with the Home Guard, which I assume Norm Scott mentioned that too in his interview. And then after graduating from electrical school at Sampson, I got a rating of F in a G unit, which is or the F unit, engineering unit below ship as an electrician apprentice. And then I was assigned to a school in Norfolk. And then after graduating from there, I got into the outgoing unit, and I picked up a ship down in Galveston, Texas. We put the USS Snowden DE-246 into commission down there. From there, we went on a shakedown cruise into the Caribbean in the Gulf of Mexico. And from there we went into New Orleans. From New Orleans we got into a hurricane. We had to go into Bermuda to do a little repair work there after going through that. And from there we picked up a ship in Charleston, South Carolina, went down into Colon, Panama. Subs were chasing us all the way down, of course. Subs all the way into the Caribbean at that time. And then we come back into Charleston again and went to the Azores. There were wolf packs around the Azores. We had a convoy all the way over. We dropped that off it, and they scattered around the Casablanca and into the Mediterranean. And then we did a little bit of sub chasing around the Azores, which was quite a place for all the ships that come from the United States at the time. Sort of congregated around the Azores, and and we took into the North Atlantic after a wolf pack. It was quite rough. We took a 42-degree, almost over, you know. Then we got back into New York, and then orders come through that they were looking for anybody who wanted to go to school. Of course, I was quite interested in that because at that time in the 30s, there wasn't much of a chance for people going to get a bigger education or higher education. So I assumed all this education there. I went to a diesel electric drive school in Columbus, Ohio, or wait a minute, Cleveland, Ohio. From there, I went back down to Norfolk again, and I did a little schoolwork there. Then I got into another outgoing unit and went down into Miami. And from Miami, I picked up another ship, the destroyer escort, the Brennan, the DE-13. And all we did then was to educate the officers in regards to sea duty, chasing subs, and we did some target practices, get them educated to that point. We did a little fishing at Dry Tortugas, which is in between Key West and Havana. That was a prison for the assassin to President Lincoln. And of course some of the Indians chiefs were imprisoned there. Well, I stayed on that ship a little bit long. I asked for a transfer off of that within a month because I didn't care too much for that type of duty. I like to be on the go all the time. So they shipped me then to Lido Beach, Long Island. And from there I had to, of course, go from Lido Beach to San Bruno, California, an outgoing unit out there. Then from there to Treasure Island in Frisco. From there to Hawaii.
What boat did you get on? What kind
I got
of a ship?
on a transport. We were to ship from the outgoing unit. I was assigned to a Fleet Hospital 112 to construct a hospital on Okinawa. We didn't know where at that time.
Yeah, when you left. But you were an electrician and a diesel person? Is that what your job was on the ship?
I was an electrician all the way through.
I see.
As a matter of fact, on the Snowden, DE-246, I was in the intercommunications unit down in the ICUC room. That took care of all the communications aboard ship, the gyro compass and all that.
I'm sorry I interrupted. I want to make sure we
No,
know.
okay.
Now you're on a ship.
On the Brennan, I took care of the generators and also the control of the ship. I was on a motor, in the after motor room. I was in charge of that.
I see. And the boat went where now?
That boat went all through the Caribbean chasing submarines and schooling the officers in sea duty and armament and everything else. But when I was shipped out of the outgoing unit in San Bruno, I got aboard a transport, the Almac, I think it was. I can't remember the name of it. At any rate, we stopped at Pearl Harbor, picked up a convoy, because that ship that we were on, there was quite a speedy thing for a transport. I think it went around 38 knots, something like that. That's fast. So, and we're all Navy. No Army, no Marines, nothing, just Navy. From there we went to Pearl Harbor, and then from Pearl we picked up a convoy. Of course, by convoy duty you have to go to the speed of the slowest ship in the unit. And of course zigzagging all the way. We stopped at Ulithi and Eniwetok. Them were two atolls in the Pacific. Matter of fact, I think the Saratoga was bombed over there after the war. And then from there we went into Okinawa, Buckner Bay. Of course, things were really happening, you know, in Buckner Bay every night, every morning, every night. Then we got into a unit there. Was going to build this hospital. And the first thing I did was to get out of work. I didn't like this working detail in the daytime. So I volunteered for guard duty at night. And of course, which was a good help for being keeping away from work. And then I volunteered to go with the 7th Army Division, some of the fellows that were bivouac near us. And we used to go out and do a little wiping up. Then I got burnt on Okinawa, and then I had to go to the hospital on one fleet hospital.
Do you mind telling us how you got burnt? You just said, or was it a shell, or what happened that you got burnt?
Well, it was on a weapons carrier, and we were pulling into this bivouac area of the Navy had, and well, there was a little bit of activity there, which us scrambling off of the vehicle, there was 7 or 8 of us on the vehicle. And of course, I was a lucky one. I landed right in the big tub of boiling hot water. So
I see. So you got
my hands and my buttocks and my ankles were burnt.
I see. So then you went to the
hospital. So I had to
hospital.
go in the SHA 7 hospital in Okinawa, and then it wasn't healing. And so they shipped me into Fleet Hospital in Lebanon, Guam. And then the day before they were to do some skin grafting, the doctors come through and they looked at it and said it looked kind of pinkish, so consequently they put off doing that sort of job on me, and actually it was starting to heal, which was a good thing. From there, of course, the war was over then, and then we were shipped to I could have flown all the way to New York, but I didn't like flying. I flew out of Okinawa to Guam, and I didn't like that, seeing them wings go up and down. And I'm Navy, you know. So at that time, when I was in the hospital there on Guam, there was, they let out some prisoners from Japan and China, and they were in bad shape, real bad shape. And one fellow that I used to play ping pong with, he was a nice man. He lived in Connecticut, so I said to him, why not take my flight back to New York? I said, you've been away a long time, a lot longer than I have, so I said, take my place on that plane. I said, I'm going to go back on ship. So he took that plane to New York, and I took 19 days it took me from Guam to Pearl Harbor again. And I was fortunate then because I got on to Saratoga, the flat top. And the flat top was going flank speed from Pearl Harbor. They were trying to make a record, I guess, before they'd done away with the ship, because it was, you know, Saratoga had been through a lot. And we landed on San Francisco, and then I shot back into Lido Beach, Long Island, to be discharged.
And when did you get
3 years. And
you were 3 years in?
Yeah, I was, let's see, I went in on Navy Day, and we come out just about Navy Day. But they changed the record dates, you know, the way they did things. They just tried to get the dates right, you know. But actually, we went in on Navy Day, and we come out on Navy Day. In 1945, we come out.
All right, so you're then here you're out of the service now.
I'm out of the service, and then I took a job as an electrician working for John DeJuan, who was a tremendous man. and a good mechanic, up in the paper mill. The land he run it up here in Loomis. And I worked for him for a while, and he says to me one day, Ed, he says, I got another fellow working with me, and he says it's going to take him as long to be an electrician as it took me. And I says to myself, it ain't going to take me that long. So finally I said, I'm going to go to something else. So I went to work for Joe Bradley. I worked for him for 10 years, and then I went into business for myself. Yeah. And that's what I did until I retired the last couple of years.
Yeah, now you got married. When did you get married?
Oh, I got married in 1942.
Oh, so in other words, Marie was a Navy bride.
She was a Navy bride, and I married, so that's 57 years now,
yeah.
Better. And so I don't know how she puts up with me, but at least.
But so you got married before you went in the Navy?
I got married just before I went in.
I see. And then how many children did you have?
I had 3 boys and 1 girl.
I see. And do they live around here, or?
Well, the oldest boy, he's a mathematician, business and administration, and he graduated from a small college out in Ohio, Capital University in Columbus. And he graduated with a master's degree in American University in Washington. He works for the government Defense Department.
I see.
And my number 2 son, he spent some time in the Air Force, 4 years, come out, and then he went to work in the Postal Service. So he's a postmaster up in the Greenwich area, Middle Fall. And then number 3 son, he's working for the Postal Service, and he's a supervisor in Albany, Postal, in the section center down there. My daughter, she lives in Saratoga. She works for a dental concern out there in Clifton Park.
I see. And then
she resides in Saratoga.
Yeah. I remember your children. We used to live across the street from each other.
Yeah.
And so now you're retired, and you do a little work here and there once in a while.
Once in a while, I do a little.
Yeah, but mostly you're retired now.
Mostly, yes.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say about Hoosick Falls, or things you remember?
I come right back to it, so I must think something of it, and the people here. So actually, it's a really nice place to live and grow up, and